It's never been a mystery to me why people are depressed. It's never been a mystery to me why people are anxious and unsettled. People deal with very heavy burdens in their life. There's far more to you than you think, because it turns out that you have substantial problems, genuine, deep problems of malevolence and suffering, but that if you decide that you will take that on as your responsibility, dark as things are, there's more light in you than you know what to do with, and there's more light in you than you can possibly manifest. We all have difficult lives, that life is characterized in large part by suffering. There's an inevitable element of suffering in life. And not only is life sorrowful in part, but it's also touched by malevolence, and malevolence of each of us, and the malevolence of our social creations, our societies, and even in some sense the kind of blind malevolence of nature. And so it's a demanding occupation to exist as a human being, and you need something to sustain yourself through that. It's not optional, because the price of existence is so high that without that sustaining meaning, it corrupts you, it embitters you, and once you're embittered, things go downhill rapidly. You get vengeful and you get angry and you get destructive, and there's really no limit to that. And I've been suggesting to people that the sustaining meaning that they can find in their life isn't to be found through happiness, let's say, because happiness doesn't work when you're not happy, when things have gone badly for you, even for accidental reasons. But you can find sustaining meaning in responsibility, and you can take responsibility for yourself. You can do that. And if you take responsibility for yourself, you treat yourself as if you're someone that's worthy of care and discipline. And that has nothing to do with being soft on yourself or the pursuit of pleasure, any of those things. You can take responsibility for yourself, and that works. And then if you do that properly, you can take responsibility for your family. And then if you do that properly, you can take responsibility for your community, and you can continue to burden yourself voluntarily, let's say, with a greater and greater range of existential challenges. And all that does is make more and more and more of you. And that works as an antidote to the catastrophe of life. And so I speak to my audiences seriously and pessimistically in some sense about part of the substructure of existence, the mortal side, the fragile side. But there's more to you than there is to what faces you. And I believe that to be true. And then I'm encouraging people to attempt that. And I think part of the reason that the book has been perhaps particularly popular among men is because I don't think we do a very good job at the moment of encouraging men. We have this idea that there's something intrinsically oppressive about the patriarchy and about masculinity in general. And I think that's nonsense. I think that strong, honest, truthful, courageous men pursuing noble goals is of great benefit to everyone, male and female alike. I've always looked at things, I think, in some ways from the opposite perspective of most, and maybe even most psychologists. It's never been a mystery to me why people are depressed. It's never been a mystery to me why people are anxious and unsettled. It seems obvious why they're concerned and hurt and anxious and unsettled. I think the mystery is how it is that we can conduct ourselves so that can remain under control. I mean, people deal with very heavy burdens in their life. You don't have to talk to someone for very long. Someone you might be thinking is doing quite well in the world, and sometimes people are. But you don't have to scratch very deep beneath the surface before you find out that they have a family member who has a serious illness, or someone who's suffering through an economic crisis of one form or another, or who there's some source of genuine tragedy 1 degree removed from them, if it's even removed. And most people, even as individuals, have at least one serious problem that they're dealing with. And so it's no mystery that people find it difficult to orient themselves in the world. And the mystery is, well, what can you do about it? And we do know what you can do about it. What you help people do is to identify their problems. That's the first thing, is to confront what's there, the reality of what's there, as bluntly as possible. And so you often end up, as a psychotherapist, talking to people about their array of problems. It's as if they're putting their cards on the table. And you sort out their problems. It's like, and no, they often decide that many of the things that are bothering them are not really that important. They can wait, but that there are crucial life challenges that present themselves to them. And they're not just psychological problems, although sometimes they are. They're problems in life, right? Existential problems. And then what you do is you help people break them down into manageable units, let's say, strategically, and confront them voluntarily. And there's an echo of that idea. There's an echo of that in Christian thinking, and the echo for that is to pick up your cross voluntarily, which is that you have an unavoidable mortal burden to bear in life. There's no escape from it, except to directly confront it and to take it on voluntarily. And what's so fascinating about that, 2 things. One is that psychotherapists of every stripe understand that this is one of the primary reasons that psychotherapy works. There's no dispute about that among all the different psychotherapeutic schools, is that the confrontation of existential problems, voluntary confrontation, is curative. And that's really something. And so, and the practical aspect of that is quite straightforward. It also indicates, practical and philosophical, it also indicates to you that there's far more to you than you think. Because it turns out that you have substantial problems, genuine, deep problems of malevolence and suffering. But that if you decide that you will take that on as your responsibility, that you can put yourself together psychologically, just the courage, and you can actually solve the problems. And that seems to be true. It's not a naive wish. It seems to be well within our capacity. And I mean, that's part of the message, I would say, of 12 Rules for Life, is that dark as things are, there's more light in you than you know what to do with, and there's more light in you than you can possibly manifest. And the way to find that out is to challenge yourself against these massive problems, and to find out that you're the one that can deal with them.